One. To everybody out there that watches Heritage Hip Hop, you know that hip hop is more than music. This is a blurred hop interview where I'm talking to somebody who's a blurred who loves hip hop culture.
Absolutely.
We're not defining what a blurred is. Look it up your damn self. But this man I have right here is a visionary, an entrepreneur, and a creator. Please tell them who you are, what you represent.
Okay, well, my name is Kalani Caraballo. I am the co-founder and writer of Dummie Comics.
And this, everybody, is my man. Don't let nobody tell you I represent for my people, and you my people. So thank you for coming on Heritage Hip Hop. I appreciate you.
Nah, man, thank you for having me.
And shout out to Chrissy as well.
Shout out to Chrissy.
That's right. All right, so now we can get started. Had to get that out the way. So tell the people about yourself and tell them about Dummie Comics.
All right, well, I'm Kalani Caraballo, from New Jersey.
Shout out.
Love New Jersey, Hudson County, Hustling County. You know what I'm saying? I got it right there on my arm, so I take it everywhere with me. I came up loving hip hop, obviously, I dabbled with hip hop before, with music, and, comics kind of just, took me away from hip hop. And, as he was saying, I wouldn't consider myself a visionary, but I get that compliment a lot. So, I see things crazy. So, I'm a writer. I write for Dummie Comics. I've also illustrated, and I handle all the publishing, marketing, pretty much everything.
And I give you a lot of respect because that does take vision.
Yeah.
So no, you are a visionary.
Absolutely.
I mean, some people like to be modest.
Yeah.
But you can't go up to
That's
a tree and say this is a plant. No, it's a tree. You gotta get what it is.
That's the thing with me, man. I'm so humble that I don't know how to take a compliment. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I understand. No, I get it. I understand. There's times when we gotta sit back and just
let it be. Yeah. Like sometimes, it's like a lot of people say, you could only be humble but for so long, where you gotta kind of gotta break out of that, and I need to break out of it. But
yeah, you gotta earn your title as you get it. So
I'll say I think I earned it.
Oh yeah, you have.
I think I earned it.
And we're gonna talk about that product right here. So one thing I did not want to do is talk to you about Marvel and DC, but we're gonna reference it because that's how people usually get into comics.
Yeah.
What got you into wanting to create comics rather than just be the fan of comics?
You have to love it first. So, I fell in love with it. I fell in love with just the allure of it. I fell in love with, being a fan of things, and I love pop culture and I love nostalgia myself. So, I wanted to create something, and I threw my hat in. I had an idea, man. And that idea spawned into something else, to the point that I didn't even do what I originally had planned. So.
But see, here's the thing when it comes to comics. Yeah. When you're a kid, you're introduced to the three major comic book characters: Spider-Man, Batman, and Superman.
Absolutely.
That's what everybody knows.
Yeah,
okay?
I agree with that.
Then, as you get into those characters, you learn about other characters.
Yeah.
Now, how old are you?
I'm 31, going on 32.
So, all right, congratulations. You grew up in the era of Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah.
So you grew up in the era of X-Men.
Yeah.
And if you had a sibling or somebody who was into comics, you saw the Incredible Hulk cartoon.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Where you jump out the sky and yell or something.
Nah, man, I remember everything from Ghostbusters, the cartoon, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the cartoon, Captain Planet, the cartoon. I remember X-Men and Spider-Man. My intro to comics were those Saturday morning cartoons, and the toys as well. So,
there's always been a creative, fun side to the person who likes cartoons, and animation, and understanding that cartoons, animation, and those things are the beginning of vision and creativity. How did that guide you intellectually? Because starting a company is an intellectual endeavor as well.
Yeah. Seeing cartoons and everything as a kid, I always had a vivid imagination, especially when you're playing with toys. You're making the toys talk to each other and have a fight, and You know, so that helps with the imagination. And sometimes school, depending on the teacher you have, can usually fuel the imagination. So I've been blessed to have good teachers that were into doing more creative work with the kids. So I learned stories, like writing stories, the who, what, when, and why, who, what, when, where, and why through school. So I would say like third grade was when I had this teacher, Miss White. I'll never forget her. She was like more like into like fueling that and giving more creative things where we wrote stories and talked about how like feelings and being creative and stuff. So from third grade on, that was like whenever they had like reports and stuff, and it was about like being creative with it. That's where I excelled in school, and that was like my favorite part of school. But other than that, man, I wouldn't pay attention to anything in school.
So, creativity was your key to learning.
No, that and hip hop. I mean, that's really what I would say were my teachers. You know.
Well, yeah. I mean, hip hop was the creativity of the voiceless to be heard.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's a ethnicity and a race thing in this country, because if you're a person who's melanated, you have a story of a house that's broken, or a friend whose house is broken, or having just enough money to do this, or the main lesson every young man has to learn of color is how to deal with the law, and how that affects how you look at the block. I once heard a story where a young man said, when I was little, I wanted to be a cop. Then I seen a cop beat my uncle. And that turned me from respecting authority to hating the authority that governs the hood. Has your comics and your creativity taken that turn to make you want to address your feelings towards social issues, or to bring social issues to life through entertainment so people can know that it exists?
I mean, if you see the cover to Manifesto 2,
classic.
Yeah, that cover came from me being angry and inputting real life into like something that I actually like felt strongly about. And yeah, I remember it was because I was doing security, and I was working security, and this white guy came up to me. He was like, "Hey man, be careful out there, man." He's like, "They're killing a lot of you." He's like, "Be careful, man." He's like, "I want you to stay safe." And when that happened, I was like, wow. I was like, thanks. But then it was like, you know, and I was angry with a lot of like, I think like it was around this time when we did Manifesto 1. And it was like right after that was when there was like, it was just like back to back to back. It was like Out to Sterling, guy that got choked out in New York. I can't think of his name. It was like Eric Garner. Then it was like that happened right after. Then it was like, then I think the cop in the
Fernando Castillo, Minnesota.
No, that happened too. And then it was like this is like one summer where like everything happened. And then I think like an officer got off like in between that for the one in Missouri.
Yeah.
So then it was like all that anger kind of like I did transmit that anger into the cover of Manifesto 2, and that's because I had like a lot of time in between each other to really do it, because I wrote it in 2015, and then this was before any of like the shootings and all that stuff started happening. So then as we were putting it together and releasing it, that stuff started to happen, and yeah, so that's how the inspiration for the cover of Manifesto 2.
The funny thing is, being a comic creator, comic writer, comic artist, you follow a line of political satire.
Yeah.
Comic books were not written for children.
Yeah.
Comic books were originally written to tell stories to the soldiers who are at war and to give them entertainment, and also for the people who are domestic to aid in the people who needed help in the war. So like those old DC Marvel, before they were Marvel, they were something else, and DC was something. Yeah, all those comics were sent to them, so they were giving war bonds back then. And when they came home, that's when the comic book medium took off. And comic books back then were used to tell the American people to hate Hitler. Because I remember All-Star Comics, so you had Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman fighting Hitler. Or Captain America was fighting the Red Skull and Hitler. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Then they had
Hitler was Thanos.
Yeah. They had the like the famous Captain America cover where he's punching.
Hitler, right?
He's punching Hitler.
Yeah, Hitler was Thanos.
Yeah, man. I drew something. I drew like a pistol grip. Like it was for because Jack Kirby did it. Jack Kirby's one of my favorite artists.
R.I.P.
I think it was like his birthday or something, so everybody was putting up like art and stuff like inspired. I did a pistol grip, my character pistol grip punching Donald Trump in the face.
On sale on Instagram. Okay. Well, I'm gonna ask you this question.
That out, man.
I'm gonna ask you this question. Being that comic books was the medium that bridged gaps from the world to the stateside domestic. What message does your comic book give to the person who's trying to purchase a comic book to read?
I mean, I can't really say, man. You know, to be honest, I can't really say because I write these stories and I don't have anybody in mind when I create sometimes. And to me, I always create in the hopes of making myself happy and at least making something that if somebody else made it, I would want to buy it. But I don't have like a vision of like an audience or anything. Because even like the people that have purchased the comics, they're way different than what I thought was gonna buy it. So to me, I always go in like with like no expectation, no thinking, you know. So it's like if a black person picks it up, I mean they can have the same. It's just like a white person picking it up. I don't really see, you know, the color line between that.